everyone. I am Lily Mae, and welcome to another episode of the Glambitious podcast. For Women's History Month, the theme was Top Voices of 2026. So I'm excited to connect you with dynamic women from around the world. If this is your first time tuned into the platform, visit hervisibility.com to join the email list to access a freebie that's going to help you elevate your voice and visibility in 2026. Again, that's hervisibility.com. And without further ado, Samantha, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about the work that you do.
All right, guys, my name is Samantha, and I'm the owner of Wellness Evolving. I help Christian women of color get to the root cause of their hormonal imbalance through functional nutrition and faith. And so the work that I do, it's not about me. I'll say that right off the bat. I realized going into the entrepreneurship space, people automatically think, okay, money, let's gross net income. And then you realize, especially as a Christian entrepreneur, it for me is very much about service. It's what I'm providing. It's the lives that I'm able to transform, right? Not just for the women who directly come to me for health and wellness coaching, but for their families, for their finances, for their careers. And that's what I've noticed with my clients, especially recently. They're at a place where we're doing so well in the health and wellness coaching. Now we're talking about businesses. Now we're talking about turning that, pain into purpose, right? And so, yeah, I do one-on-one coaching. I also am starting a group session shortly, and I'm actually creating a community on the school app where I'm going to be, and we could get into this a little bit more later, but where I am helping people walk through 60 days of a faith-based faith and food challenge. So I've created a journal, and it's basically helping them to get more disciplined, get more structure, know what to eat and what not to eat, because we can go to the doctor and we can be told, you have to stop eating this, you have to start exercising, but no one says what you should be doing, right? And I feel like that lack of communication is what leaves people feeling discouraged, leaves them feeling like this is hopeless, and then they don't make the necessary steps to make that change. So I want to bridge that gap.
I love that. And tell us about how your personal and professional experiences led you to create this movement.
So, um, I've been a nurse for like 17 years now, and I've been a nurse practitioner for going on 8 years. And I didn't realize that this was the path that I was being led on. I just knew that I kept seeing the same things and I kept seeing the same things. And so God would always bring certain people into my life, whether they were clients or patients, and they would always say similar things like, no one's ever explained it this way. Or, why didn't someone tell me this before? Or it makes so much sense now. And I realize all of that lack of education. We even know in the healthcare system, nutrition is a very small proponent of what is focused on. However, that is a big proponent in how you can change your lifestyle. Um, I this saying gets me every time, but when I speak to someone and they're like, "Well, it runs in my family," and I have to like, stop, let's stop right there. Because yes, you do have genes that will predispose you to something, but what you eat every day, the lifestyle choices that you make every day, has a bigger impact on what transpires or what doesn't transpire than you just basing it off of your genes. And so it's so interesting that even though we don't spend a lot of time discussing nutrition, but it is a key proponent in what transpires in the rest of the person's life. And so that those were things that I just continue to see in my journey. And I said, okay, we got to stop putting band-aids over bullet wounds. We have to start really addressing the heart of the matter, which is where, root cause diagnoses come from, or root cause practices come from. Traditionally in Western medicine, you just manage, you treat. So you're giving a medication to help soothe the symptom, but you're not actually addressing the underlying problem. When we do that, we realize that you don't need to add more things onto it. You just need to clear up what's there, right? And so a lot of those things that I've realized throughout being a nurse and then being a nurse practitioner, we're just not doing that work. One, because of the time, we're only limited to like 15 minutes a visit. Two, insurance, you're dealing with coding and all those other issues. And then three, there's burnout. Burnout is very significant. And because of that, that's left a lack of continuity in care. And if you have a lack of continuity, a lot of things can be missing through the gaps.
Yes, yes. And I know, as a woman over 40, I know
Mm.
that nutrition is even more imperative at this age and in this season. And I also know that after 40, we go through so many physical changes that a lot of women feel disconnected from their bodies. So, what is
Mhm.
your advice to kind of rebuild that connection to our bodies?
Oh, I love that question. The first thing would be still. You have to listen to your body. Your body has been warning you for quite some time. And for whatever reason, whether it's motherhood, whether it's your career, whether it's your spouse, you have been putting it off for so long. And because of that, now you have all of these alarms going off and you don't know which fire to put out first. So first we just need to listen to our bodies. And I'm speaking as someone going into that space. I'll be 40 this year. And just taking the inventory of what your body is saying. What that means sometimes is eating something and then acknowledging how you feel. Did that give me brain fog? Do I feel bloated? Do I feel fatigued? Do I feel energized? Is that something that I want more of, right? Sometimes we don't even realize that we're experiencing symptoms because you're compounding what it is that you're eating. So you may have eaten something and then you're not really noticing the symptoms until a day later, but you had two, three other, four other meals. So how do you know, right? But you won't know if you don't take the time to listen to your body. The other thing is this now more than ever, and I repeatedly say this, we cannot work out of hustle anymore. We are not men. We are called to be in alignment with the things that are called to us. And so when we work out of alignment, you will naturally start to relieve yourself of tasks and burdens that you were never meant to pick up to begin with. So it's really about that alignment, going with ease. And naturally, when you do that, you're going to regulate your nervous system and you're going to live that soft life redefined, as I like to call it.
No, that's so good because nervous system is, I feel like a key term of 2026 that we hear a lot of. We hear a lot about the nervous system being dysregulated, and we hear a lot of inflammation, inflammation,
Hmm. Hmm.
inflammation. And I know that, like you said, the hustle and bustle of the day-to-day life can easily find you knee deep with a lot of inflammation issues and nervous system dysregulation. So I love that you talked about stillness because
Yeah.
sometimes I think it's very important that we reset. I know me, like I have a bad habit of in the morning grabbing a coffee, and I
Mm.
realized, oh wait, I probably should have an apple or a banana at least before the coffee,
Yes.
like these habits. And when you get, day to day to day and you're drinking coffee on an empty stomach for 6 months, now you have acid reflux, right? Like now you
Mm.
have a symptom from that behavior. So I love that you talked about the stillness that we need to do as women to kind of reset and get into some alignment so that we can, really take care of those things like the inflammation and the nervous system dysregulation. Is there any particular nutritional advice you want to share as it relates to those things? I don't know, like some fruit that we should be eating every day or any
Yes.
food tidbits.
Yes. So generally, berries. Berries are always great, especially wild berries, particularly blueberries. Um, Anything that is high in antioxidants, and berries are. So blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. Of course, you want to buy them organic. No, we can't always buy everything organic because look at the prices right now. They're outrageous. But you have things like the Dirty Dozen, those foods that you know for sure you should not be eating that, or you want to avoid eating if they're not organic. And then you have the Clean 15. So the Clean 15 are the ones that are like, okay, not so bad. I could buy this inorganic if I need to. Now, things like the berries, anything that has like a thin skin, you want to preferably buy organic because if you're thinking about it, those pesticides are being penetrated by a thinner skin versus something like a cantaloupe or a banana, right? So anything that is berries have high antioxidants. Also, I preach this all the time. Eat fruits with seeds. There's a reason why you need to eat fruits with seeds. If you go back into the Bible, it says um, every seed bearing fruit. It's not normal to have fruits without seeds in them. We've gotten so accustomed to eating grapes. It's probably been a good 15 years that I remember grapes being seedless. And you think, oh, it's a commercial, it's a commodity, it is easier for me. I don't have to take the seeds out. There's so many antioxidants in seeds, especially if people are in the South, things like muscadines. they are loaded with antioxidants. And we know that antioxidants help reduce free radicals. Now, I'm about to nerd out real quick on you, but free radicals are what cause aging, cause cellular damage. Cellular damage is what causes cancer. So if you're consuming foods that are high in antioxidants, you're going to help reduce those free radicals. Again, that's going to reduce inflammation in the body. So those are things that women particularly want to consume. I feel like there was one else that I was going to mention. I can't remember what it is right now, but yeah, we could talk about this all day.
Yeah, no, that's a good start. That's a good start because I just want the women to at least start thinking about some changes, start switching out some of the snacks, for the healthier
Yes.
fruits and things of that nature. Because I think every time you make a good decision, you're contributing to cleaning things up in there. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, especially for
Mhm.
women who are dealing with multiple symptoms and
Mhm.
multiple things. It can be overwhelming and you feel like, it's beyond your grasp. But I think just a few changes at least
Mhm.
starts you on the path of healing, alignment, and regulating that nervous system. Now, I know that you have a faith and food challenge that's anchored spiritually. So tell me about your role or the role of faith in nutrition and how you blend the two.
Again, as I kept seeing patients who would come to me and they would start to tell you some things, right? And then you realize, okay, there's a spiritual component that's not being addressed in our average healthcare visits. And I noticed that some of that not being addressed directly impacts the health outcomes and the lack of achieving those goals. And because of that, naturally, I would spend a bit more time with my patients than most other providers would be, just because I just want to get to the root of it. Like, so why? Like, I was just never satisfied with just throwing a pill at somebody. Like, I want to understand why, right? And so, um, personally, I created that journal because I was on a health journey and I wanted to become more disciplined. I wanted more structure. I wanted more intuition with the Holy Spirit. Um, and so I decided to look at the Bible app. And I'm like, man, I love the Bible app, but I never really found any type of, um, what do you call them? I always forget the term of this. Like any it's like the journal prompts, any of those like little books that you could read into. I forget what it's called. Um, but I couldn't ever find one that told me exactly what I should be eating, that could talk to me a little bit more about discipline. And so I just took my phone and I opened up the notes and I said, okay, I'm gonna just find or start finding scriptures. And anytime I find a scripture, I'm gonna tie it with some food, or I'm gonna, tie in my health and wellness background, my nurse practitioner background, and my love for nutrition itself. And so that became the 60-day faith and food journal. And then, so I published that like December 2023, but this year in particular, people continue to say the same thing. This is exactly what I needed. And it was only because I decided to, one, be obedient to God, because he was like, okay, just go ahead and make it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it. And once I make it, I'm gonna put it down. And I just leave it that. And I don't really promote it. I don't really do much. But what I've noticed is so many people are saying that, oh, if somebody was just diagnosed with cancer, they're gonna really need this book. Or somebody else, I really wanted to be more disciplined in this. I'm so glad that I got this. And just a quick background story, like I planted that seed, right? God gave it to me. I planted the seed, I did the work, and I left it alone. But I nurtured it, right? And then I gave that to my mom, because my mom is my biggest supporter, my mom and my aunt. And so she planted that seed in someone else. So she was actually giving it to her coworkers. And so a lot of the sales that I get, it's not because I'm posting it online or anything like, it's just all of their word of mouth. And then they now take it and they plant a seed and they give it to their loved one or their daughter or someone else. And so the impact that the book makes, like every time there's a sale, again, it's not about the money, it's about the service. It's about the fact that this is taking root and it is going to flourish in so many other people's lives that I may never personally know, but to know that that impact is being made, oh, that does it for me. So yeah, because of that, I just decided I was going to do this 60-day faith and food challenge for those people, or anyone who's purchased the book, who just needs a deeper understanding, who wants those health and wellness tips, and they don't necessarily get that from their average healthcare visit. So yeah, at 60 days, it's going to be me and them from April 1st, and I'm going to walk them through it. I'm excited.
Yes, that sounds amazing. How can people grab the book or sign up for the challenge?
So I do have it on my social media platforms, the challenge link. Um, what else? The book is on Amazon. I also sell it on Etsy, but mostly it's on Amazon. So it can be purchased there. And I am also gonna consider offering the PDF version just in case like people get in afterwards and they kind of like want to catch up and you're afraid whether or not you're gonna miss something because of the mail. But I preferably would want people to have the physical book because write the vision and make it plain. It's something different to have it in hand. So yeah, generally my social media platforms, I have the link in my bio to sign up.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna grab it myself. I'm like, this is what I
Aw,
need.
thank
I feel like
you.
I'm definitely on a bit of that, nutritional reset journey myself.
Yeah.
And being a very, very businesswoman entrepreneur, I can easily fall into these bad habits, just getting through the day,
Mhm.
pushing through the day, reaching for things that give you false energy like
Yeah.
caffeine instead of,
Yeah.
nutritional things that give you that natural boost. So I think it will be helpful to me. So I'm gonna definitely get that journal when we get off of here for sure. So I appreciate you, being so humble with what you're doing for the community because I think specifically Black women, we have so much
Mhm.
attacking us as it relates to our health and
Mhm.
wellness that we need support in a myriad of ways. And that foundational support that you're offering is so important. It's very important work. So I appreciate you for being obedient to, go on this path and help women get out from being, overwhelmed with all of it
Mhm.
to more of an
Mhm.
empowered space. And I think the challenge is gonna give people that sense of community they need to not
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed and to feel a sense of control over their health and wellness. So I just applaud you for doing that.
Thank you.
Um, as we conclude, what's one powerful step that a woman can take towards evolving her wellness journey today?
Ooh, I love that. Mindset. The first thing is mindset. You could start eating the food, you could start exercising today, and then a week later, we fall into the habits of this needs to get done. If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody does it like me. You have to get into the mindset of, I am worthy of making this change. And it will take it will take a lot of inner work. I will say that. And that's why I made that journal because I had to do the inner work for myself in order to then guide somebody to then take those steps themselves. So you have to have the clear mindset that I am deserving of it. God wants this for me. Um, because he doesn't want us to be out here broken and damaged. He only sees us as the best version of ourselves. And if that's how he sees us and we are made in his likeness and image, why would we not think the same thing for ourselves? So I say that to say it's not even just like, okay, get a treadmill or this is free. This is you just read your Bible, find out what he says about you, match that energy with what he's saying. Because when you do that, baby, you're unstoppable. Nobody's going to tell you you can't do anything. And then you will start to show up for yourself. After that, you start investing. You make the investment in yourself, whether that's getting up 30 minutes earlier to exercise or to meditate or to pray, to center yourself before you're bombarded by all of the worries of that day. Set yourself up for success first, because if you don't set yourself up, you can't help anybody else. And I'm speaking from experience.
Absolutely. And ultimately, health and wellness is going to keep us in alignment with our assignment. Most of my
Yes.
community are very much purpose-driven women entrepreneurs. They have a vision, they have a purpose, they're very successful. And we have to be reminded that we have to be healthy, we have to be well so that
Yeah.
we can have the longevity that God is calling
Yes.
us to, so that we can actually achieve the legacy that we're dreaming about. And so that health and wellness component, I think, is so undervalued because we're
Mm.
thinking about the tangible results of this purpose
Yeah.
work. But we are, a part of the purpose and we have to take care of our temples. So I love
Mhm.
that you're merging, faith into that. I love that you talked about mindset because that is so important in having the
Mhm.
discipline to make a good decision every meal, a good decision every day, and allow that to compound. And if there's anything else you want to share in closing, to the viewers who may be new to you and your platform, as well as a reminder of how they can connect with you online.
Oh, absolutely. So, oh gosh, I feel like all of my social media links have different versions of a name, but um, on TikTok and Instagram, I'm pretty sure it is Wellness Evolving Health Coaching. So most of my people are on TikTok. But I also have a YouTube page called Rooted Kitchen. And so that's where we get a little bit more into those spiritual conversations. Um, Changing the diet, yes, but understanding the importance of making those healthy changes. Some people want recipes, but some people want that nourishment on a spiritual level. So we get into deeper conversations there that we can't always get to in on the other social media platforms. So I think the only thing that I would say is just you have to take small intentional steps over time, and that makes the change. You can't go into it in a leap. You just have to make, and every day can be day one. It doesn't matter how many times you fall, get back up. Every day can be day one. Don't say one day, make it day one, because the one day will never come if you don't make that decision. So that would be it for me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Samantha,
Thank
again
you.
for being one of our top voices of 2026 in this series and
Thank you.
really
Thank
talking
you.
about something that's so very, very important. Again, ladies, I'm going to put her links in the caption below the video. Make sure, ladies, that you share this with at least three of your friends because again,
Yeah.
for Black women, health and wellness is so important, especially after 40. And so many
Mm.
of us need to hear these reminders that Samantha shared today and then access the resources that she's creating to support us in our health and wellness journey. So just make sure that you send this replay link to at least three friends, okay? I also encourage you to follow me as well on Instagram at I am Lily May and visit theglamceo.com if you're interested in joining us this summer in New Orleans or Martha's Vineyard for the Glambitious Brunch. As always, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Glambitious Podcast.